right, so first up we are going to be looking at the needle fiber cards, I believe. Pretty much the one that everyone seems to be the most concerned about. So does anyone have any thoughts on O-Lion, O1, Jet Synchron, and that's it?
And the extra cards.
Yeah. So we look obviously Halqifibrax, Link Cross, and Oraradon and TG. I think it's a bit of a problematic card myself, like obviously, but to be honest, how can Konami even like justify banning it? That's my opinion. Like at the moment, it's too early in the meta.
Are you talking about Halqifibrax?
Yeah, I'm talking about Halqifibrax in particular.
Well, yeah, I think Halqifibrax, the release of it's too soon, too recent, and I just don't think. I think it can be inherently more fair, but it's just the timing that they've released all these other silly cards at the same time as Halqifibrax, like Auroradon and Linkross being at pretty much the same time.
It's like a bit of a perfect storm, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like if you had Halqifibrax and Summon Stalk in the same meta, or Halqifibrax and Stalk and Firewall or something.
Well,
like,
thank God we don't have Stalk, mate. That's all I'm saying.
Halqifibrax will definitely be banned, but for now,
yeah. I think in the future
it will 100% be banned, but I don't.
It should be, but it's not going to be.
I think also one thing to say about Halqifibrax is like it's obviously a free special from deck, which is problematic, but it's in conjunction with the fact that it's not really one free special, is it? It's two specials or two specials, and then obviously it can be made with one card. I feel like Jet Synchron is obvious to be banned. It seems to be like an oversight, as everyone thinks, but
yeah,
I think it's an anime card, so that could be a problem.
No, it's not a current anime. It's like they're not pushing product parties. So.
Neither's Cannon Soldier, mate.
Yeah, but Cannon Soldier's not doing anything. The way I see it is, if you ban Jet Synchron, all you're doing is making one card combos into two card combos, and and in fact, you're not actually doing that because Despot 3, I think it is, summons Despot 1, and that's a one card combo anyway.
Right. So then
Jet Synchron's just.
So are we saying then that Konami won't ban any of them? I think then.
No, I think the likely and necessary thing is probably to ban Jet Synchron and or O-Lion.
Right.
O-Lion's the real problem because of the fact that you can summon it off Auroradon. That's where the issue happens for me, is that you go into your ladder. If you get in without grabbing O-Lion and getting the extra tokens, it's not. Obviously, there's still definitely broken combos out there, but less so.
In fairness, with Auroradon as well, they've balanced it with the whole you can't link summon anymore.
Yeah,
so,
I guess so.
So yeah, I guess like that means that the Despot 1 Auroradon play is obviously it's still like pretty knackered for synchros. Obviously, that's where Hyper Librarian will come in. But yeah, maybe O-Lion is the most logical choice then.
I do think we could possibly see Needle Fiber to 1. It's just there's some decks that are.
In fairness,
two or more of it.
There are combos that are playing 2. Like I know there's some combos where you like set Scythe off Dagda and stuff.
Yeah.
You need 2 because the second one enables you to do the tag out and pop your Scythe and stuff. But
yeah, more so in the Synchro Eldritch deck, they're playing multiple copies of it. So turn 1, they set up the board, and then if they're not making VFD, they'll set up the board Savage and Herald. And if it's broken, the next turn they'll just do it all again. I just think that's ridiculous. It should be, if you break the board, you can then fight back still. But yeah, so you could possibly see it go to 1. I think.
I don't think it'd really do an awful lot.
It wouldn't. It should still be banned one day, but it could go to 1.
Help tone it down a bit like they did with Firewall.
Yeah,
primarily.
Yeah. They made it like sort of like sometimes as well. I feel like they limit cards as like all right, be prepared. This is gonna go soon. Sort of thing to ramp it down. Right. So basically, we're saying that if it's gonna get hit, we're reckoning it'll be O-Lion because these two boys are too early.
Yeah.
And that's probably the most logical one. Or Jet Synchron. All right. So
you need to properly destroy the combo. it needs to be both O-Lion and Despot 1, but I can see it being O-Lion and or Synchron. But
I think Synchron.
Don't limit Jet Synchron because tuning's a card. So if they limit Synchron, it'd be just stupid.
Agreed. I think it should just get banned, like Cloak Bulb.
Just a quick note on TG Hyperlibrarian before we move on. Obviously, it allows you to end up drawing 4 off one particular combo, whereas without TG, it'd still be draw 2, but it just makes, especially again, it's another one where the release of another card at the same time. Well, I know TG Hyperlibrarian is an old card, but the release of the big level 9 Crocosaurus card or whatever it's called, that allowing you to draw and TG allowing you to draw.
You mean
Ravenous.
Crocosaur Archetis? I assume what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. And I think is the draw 4 combo your little pet Cyber Dragon combo that you're trying to shoehorn into the conversation here?
Nah, not really.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next obvious contender is Dragon Buster Destruction Sword.
And obviously throw Union Carrier in the
and obviously Union Carrier. I think, to be honest, it's prime candidacy to being banned, I think, because it subverts the mechanic. He's not even a Union card, but he has an equip effect that's massively oppressive, and I think that itself is reason for it to be banned.
It's one of those cards that I'd love to see in errata, but they won't.
Yeah, me too. I think it's definitely going to be banned.
Unhealthy.
Banned.
Go on, Cam. What were you saying, mate?
It's just a floodgate monster similar to like Drawl, Lancia, all that jank. I just think it's inherently dumb. I just think it's dumb.
Yeah.
I don't think it's.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like,
in one respect, I think it's more daft than those cards, but in another respect, I think it's not as, because it's searchable by Union Carrier just equipping it to pretty much anything. So it's like just any 2 monsters essentially turns it into a Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. It's a dart to target.
Yeah, that's the issue, isn't it? It's the fact that
it's tied to MST.
It's the fact that you need a Link 2 plus a Dark or a Dragon. And like that is really a pretty loose restriction, isn't it, really, in terms of like Yu-Gi-Oh! Obviously unintentional on the part of Konami. I don't know what they were thinking in making Union Carrier not have to specifically target a Union monster. That's ridiculous, but
that would have made it so much more simple.
They are reprinting the Buster Sword as well.
They are.
That's very true.
I can't see them banning Carrier just yet. Again, I think similar to what Danny said about Halqifibrax, I think Carrier will go one day. I just think it's too soon.
I think it's not being abused enough. I think the Destruction Sword is the problem here. Union Carrier is a very good card. I still think.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree that with that. But at the same time, reprints. I know there has been occasions like when they reprint the Scapegoat as the ulti, they put it to 1. But
there's been quite a few of those.
Indeed.
I can't think of them off the top of my head now, but there's quite a few.
Hitting it to 0 though is
true.
And obviously putting it to 1 won't do anything. So.
Fair enough.
Upshot of that, I'd say is I wouldn't be surprised to see that slip through the net. To be honest. Neither of the best decks are doing it, are they? So
yeah,
I think Adamantipator, quite a lot of them are.
Are they? Some of them doing that?
Yeah. I think it should just go. I think any deck that can make 4 negates and Dweller and Destruction Sword, it needs to go that card.
I think even acknowledging the strength of the combo, like the fact that it involves using a effect in a way it was never intended to be used, kind of makes a card I think more vulnerable to the ban list compared to other cards.
Agreed.
So, you'd like to think so.
You're right. You'd like to think. Sometimes we. All right, so now we're going to go on touch onto the more sort of meta decks at the minute, which is Eldritch and Adamantipator. So obviously you see Block Dragon there. We're going to get to that, lad. But does anyone have any opinions on Black Awakening or Sanguine potentially being hit? I know some people have sort of discussed that. Personally, I think it's too early, which is, I think, a pretty fair thing to say. Like, it's probably not going to get hit on this list, but should Eldritch be directly addressed, or do you think maybe it can sort of be hit in another way?
I think Sanguine's probably the most obvious one to go to anything less than 3 at first. I think the fact that it can be used in an opponent's turn to summon Golden Lord is very good. So even if they clear the first one, they just bring out another one and everything becomes live again. And that's probably the reason why I think that should go to 1 at least for now.
I think Eldritch at the moment is in a similar position to, like, say, Salamangreat after it was very widely available and widely being used in the meta, because it's very new, so it's probably not gonna. They're probably not gonna do something daft like ban Golden Lord, but it will probably receive some sort of minor slap on the wrists with a hit to a consistency card.
I think what you touched on there is actually something quite interesting. Is like you were saying that Salamangreat was widely available, and obviously at the moment in time when all the competitions are taking place online, Eldritch is widely available. But we know that if we go back to real life tournaments, there's no chance we're going to see that many Golden Lords flying around. I'd
say at a regional level, you're right. Like YCSs and stuff, though. I think obviously most people will be playing the best deck.
Well, yeah, of course they would be. But the point is if Konami don't want to acknowledge the existence of the online tournament, so realistically, do they have, would that enter into the conversation on their part as to whether or not it should be hit? Because, it may or may not. I think Sanguine also, say they do hit Sanguine, the deck is like, it works by its grind game, doesn't it? I believe. So, with Sanguine being slapped, would that, I mean, I'm not massively familiar with the deck, I'm not going to lie. So, would Sanguine being down to 1, like, kind of wreck its grind game? Or do you think, like, the Golden Lord himself has got, like, enough recursion options?
No, I think its grind game would be hindered, to be honest. However, I think the fact that the deck's being mixed with other things at the minute, like the Synchro Turbo, it's been mixed with Invoked, Lightsworn. I don't think it would be a huge kind of loss to put that to 1 right now. If they hit the other engines, then it should probably get a limited or something like that. But,
right. So it might affect the pure build more than.
Yeah, it will affect pure the most.
Yeah, of course.
I think you've kind of won me around with that comment, though, Coombs, about the availability of it. I think if they've got this product out there that not a lot of people have had real chance to buy at retail stores or use the cards from the product in real life, is it a bit too soon?
Yeah. I mean, if you were to ask me to make the prediction, I would say that neither Eldritch nor Adamantipator will be directly hit in terms of an actual named product card. Block Dragon is going to be a bit of a different option, maybe. But
yeah, I think that's a good way to segue into
into this guy. So obviously, Block Dragon has been a combo piece, sort of more on the I suppose more recently, it's sort of gotten closer to the meta, and now obviously with Adamantipator it's muscled its way right on in there. Before that it was kind of like on the fringes, sort of like a rogue deck enabler almost.
Maybe like Rock BA and Gemini
FTK.
Yeah. I think it's another one of those cards where, like, if it was a once per turn, it might survive the rigors of like the ban list. But do you think this is the list that'll be hit again with the lack of real life play? It's kind of hard to almost justify any ban list, in my view. I think the Konami have to do it. They've got to cycle the meta, but it's going to be really unpredictable.
True. I think if I was to say what I am probably most confident about on the ban list, it would be Block Dragon.
Yeah, agreed. Just a +3. Add 3 cards. After your board, you pretty much made the board that's going to be unbreakable anyway. I think it's pretty ridiculous, that card. It's got to go.
Are we saying Block Dragon to 0 then? Cam, are we saying to 0?
Absolutely, no way it stays. It's like +3.
Danny, are we saying 0, mate?
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, Harris and Morris, 0?
Yeah, it's gone. Like as well as being the, in theory, most broken card in one of the two best decks at the moment. It's also an indirect hit to an FTK, which is something that Konami love to hit anyway. It searches 3 cards and special summons itself multiple times in the turn. It's got to be gone.
Right. Okay. So, obviously, speaking of things that Konami like to hit, hand loops. They don't particularly like hand loops either. I think Moulin Glacier may occupy a similar position to Block Dragon, in that it's a support to an archetype that will not be hit in the deep seas because it's brand new. But do you think Moulin Glacier could be limited? Would that actually help it, or would it have to be banned in order to make any sort of impact?
Well, they're only playing one anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, it's one of them. With all the new support, I feel it's just a bit too strong. If you do hit your Eldritch and Adamant Spear, the combo players probably just flock to the likes of Mermail, and someone breaks it, and everyone's hand looping each other for 5. Like, I just don't think it's an overly healthy card, to be honest.
Yeah, yes, it would have to be banned. So we're going to chuck Moulin Glacier in the bin as well then.
Well,
I think
it should go, just because I don't think any card that says take how many cards out of your hand, 2 random cards.
Yeah.
Like when there's other cards in their archetype, well, not the archetype, but in the combos with the water decks, with like the new deep sea cards and stuff. If there's other cards that are taking cards out of the hand and they're taking 2 more with this card, I think it's an obvious candidate to go. But because Mermail isn't really doing anything massive in the meta, I could see it slipping through the net.
I agree. I'm trying to think, does Mermail have a win condition if this card gets banned? What does it really? I'm not a massive Mermail player, but
it still be able to take some cards out of your hand and also set up negates and stuff. Like it's another combo deck in that respect, that it can set up multiple negates per turn.
Obviously, Mermail don't have a particular problem in getting the kill either. Like, when they've simplified the game state, they can just swing at you with some big fish. So.
Yeah, they might have to go back to the roots and become more of an OTK deck.
Yeah. I think hand loops are degenerate, and it should be at 0, to be honest. But I'm just trying to think, what would they really do if it did get banned?
Speaking of things that are at 0, let's move on to stuff that could potentially come off the list. So we're looking immediately at the Pendulum guys that are at 0 at the minute.
The boys,
Skullcrabat, Astrograph, Double Iris. Danny, I know you got views to last for weeks on this. So, what do you reckon? With Electromite being at 0, I know we're going to discuss him in a minute, but her rather. But what do you think?
I think Astrograph's inherently a broken card, just the most text ever on a card before Endymion, but genuinely think that Electromite got this card banned. Its ability to search anything and get a pop, and then triggering Astrograph to then add it back is just pretty broken. But I think, honestly, without Electromite, this card could easily come back, because right now there's just not enough cards to pop your own scales to trigger this sort of effect. I don't really see people playing Pensork anytime soon.
Yeah. Would you rather have Electromite back than Astrograph, I imagine?
Yeah, 100%. I'm pretty sure every Pendulum player would.
Yeah.
I think the same kind of thing applies to Double Iris. There's just nothing that really pops it right now. People would have to play Performer Pal Pensork, and it's just very 2016 Pendulum Magician sort of, 2017. I don't think that it's going to be massively popular, with Endymion and spell counters being the most dominant way to play the deck at the minute.
Well, I think maybe talk about Joker. How about him? Do you think?
I think Joker would allow a lot of pure Pendulum Magician players to start picking that deck up again. It doesn't really have a normal summon at the minute, and I think cards like Overraptor and Debug, just a +1 isn't that broken anymore, even in Pendulums.
I think I've got like a fairly interesting take on something about Joker.
Yeah.
It searches odd eyes monsters, and with the new core sets, I believe they're getting rid of the TCG exclusives and therefore importing more cards, which obviously we're missing a couple of odd eyes cards, which are really strong for that archetype.
Revolution Dragon. Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah. So obviously,
Yeah.
Halqifibrax would allow you to search for a Revolution Dragon, which would be a way to push product and to give a potential boost to Pendulum strategies.
Yeah, I think we could see a similar sort of thing like with Stratos. It comes back to 1,
I
then
think
2, then 3.
because it has to be normal summoned, I think, even though it's not once per turn technically, because it has to be normal summoned, you're only going to get maximum, like in some degenerate combo where you end up getting 2 normal summons.
Realistically, they're probably not going to do anything worse than what we've got already. Realistically.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess like in terms of should they come back, the answer is they absolutely could. Will they though? Do you think this is the kind of thing that Konami would maybe do to sort of drum up? Because I know that there have been sort of theories going around online. I think they make a pretty decent point. Like with the pandemic and all that stuff going on, the product sales. I mean, obviously we don't have access to those numbers, but they're probably not great at the minute. And bringing back all the cards may reinvigorate interest in the game that might have waned.
I agree. That's a brilliant point. I really think that they'll do that with the next list. I would be very surprised if they didn't.
So could that mean that potentially we might be looking at a fairly generous ban list in terms of bringing stuff back? Yeah,
it's a fair point, I think, and I think that we could see it. I don't expect to see it, but I think we could see it.
Okay, so we're going to move on now to a card I don't particularly know that much about, which is Eclipse Wyvern. Could someone please tell me why this card's banned and why it may or may not come back?
It's just banned because of generic dragon support, but obviously in the Battles of Legends set there is the new Chaos Dragons and stuff, so I think there's a good chance of them bringing this back to push that as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, the real issue is its combos with LP, Guard Dragon LP, but realistically, if we look at the meta at the moment and the combo decks, like I know it wasn't that long ago that we were seeing the Chaos Dragon decks and stuff with the Guard Dragon combos, but realistically, what had a more unbreakable end board, the Guard Dragon decks or, for example, Adamantipator's.
Yeah. And so, as well with...
As much as I agree that this card is a very strong card, especially when combined with Guard Dragon LP, I don't think it's any more broken than what we've got now.
Yeah. So, again, alluding to the whole trying to bring players back into the game to actually play and engage with product more, it's definitely possible. Do you think it will? Again, I don't have an idea. Would you say if you had to be backed into a corner, would you say yes or no on this card?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this card, if it's at 0 or 3, it wouldn't make more people play that deck. Right now, people want to play what's new. So Adamantipator, that's the best combo deck right now. I think if they hit that you'd see more Dragon Link decks. Definitely.
I think my real argument for it coming back is the new Battles of Legends set.
Okay, I've not looked at that yet.
It's got the import of the Chaos Emperor prize card and the other. I believe it. It could be wrong on this, but I think it's got the Shonen Jump exclusive cards in as well. The the retrains of Trishula and Judgment Dragon and stuff. So basically, all level 8 dragons that. Well, not all searchable because they're not all main deck. But the main thing I'm talking about is the Chaos Emperor Dragon retrain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it searches that. So
what's next?
Yeah, it's a powerful card. But okay, so next we're going to have a look at. Well, we had to pick one of the Dragon Rulers. We decided to go with Blaster. Obviously, this conversation could extend to all of them. I didn't really play that much with Blaster. Harris, I know you, when you got back into the game, Blaster was, I think, 1, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So
only very. It was literally. He was there for one format. I bought the tin with him on the cover. Got a copy of him, and about a week later, he was banned.
Fantastic. Yeah. What was that, Mario? Sorry, go on. Yeah. So I think for me with the dragon rulers.
Morris,
You what? Sorry.
can you translate for Morris if you were able to hear him?
Right. Yeah. So I could hear him. Yeah. So he was saying that when he was playing the game years ago, he did play dragon rulers. I think it's kind of one of those things where if Konami are going to bring him back, it might be one at a time. And also, I think a lot of it is dependent on how powerful the individual attribute is, really, more than anything else. I don't think we're going to see all the dragons come rampaging back into the game.
Absolutely. That's why I suggested Blaster as the next one, because I think obviously they brought off Tempest.
Because wind is pretty bobbins.
Probably the weakest, and then I would say fire is the next weakest.
Yeah, well, Salamangreat might obviously argue with you a little bit about that.
Yeah, true. But would Salamangreat play Blaster? I don't think so.
They've also got the new Flaming Noble Knights as well that will be coming out later. But that actually might be an argument for Blaster to come off the list.
I was just about to say that. Obviously, we know that historically the big reason for bringing cards back off the ban list has been to support new archetypes and strategies.
So again, I think he might be maybe a later list. I'm not sure when the when. Does anyone know when the Flaming Noble Knights actually come out? Is that in Rise of the Duelist or? Is it right? So it's a potential then on this. I know with Tempest we did have sort of an indication because he had a trap card, I think, wasn't it, which had Tempest actually on the card art.
Was it?
Yeah. That kind of cleared us in a little bit. Obviously that's not happened with Blaster, but I don't think that's kind of conclusive proof one way or another. So moving on now, we're going to go on to Cyberjar. I think Konami have kind of made it as like a bit of a habit to bring some variety of jar off the list, it seems.
So I think this could come back no problem. I just flip monsters are outdated as is. I think you could probably maybe argue that Morphing Jar is significantly better, as you can replenish your entire hand. It just nukes the board. Like, I mean, it's just not good anymore. Nukes the board and then you special. No one to play it. It's got a pretty good effect, but I just don't see anyone would play it, to be honest.
Well, could it not be effectively a massive plus in like trap-based decks or, for example, Guru? Put this guy and then might draw into a load of traps, and then suddenly you've added 5 cards to your hand.
I'm not really familiar with Guru enough to say on that. We need Owen here really for that. But if there's a way to flip Cyberjar turn 1.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think it's busted. If you are reliant on your opponent to flip it for you in turn 2, then I don't think it's that good.
I think that pretty much sums it up. If there was a way to flip things turn 1, I think Morphing Jar people have been doing that. You'd set your hand.
Book of Tayo, Book of Tayo.
I'm sure there's some janky way of doing it, but realistically,
I'm pretty sure that all the flippy floppy stuff that Subterra does is specific to Subterra cards. So
the flipping up part of it definitely is.
Yeah. So in that case, I think, like Cam said, if they could do that to generic things that weren't Subterra monsters, then they'd have been doing it with Morphing Jar and replenishing the hand that way.
Yeah, true enough. So does that mean then that Fiberjar could come back as well?
I think it probably could.
Oh,
Fiber. Sorry, Fiber.
No, Fiber.
Fiberjar. It's the one that resets the game.
All right, okay. So maybe that's a bridge too far. Turns out some flip monsters are quite good.
Fiberjar, I don't think could ever come back, especially not because of the new time rules.
Yeah, that's true. That is some
revised time rules from about 18 months ago, or whenever it was.
Longer than that, I think.
Was it?
All right, so now moving on, then we're going to go on to Maxi.
Hang on, I think we should probably leave Maxi for the end.
Are we going to leave Maxi? We're going to leave. Okay, let's leave Maxi then. Let's
It's a
move
can
on.
of worms.
Yeah,
isn't it,
Yeah,
Maxi?
let's leave the lid on that can. Let's go into Change of Heart. I know Cam. I know you've been championing this card. I remember you championing it before.
Yeah, I bought a couple of OG copies because I was convinced it was coming back. However, Mind Control going to 1 kind of says otherwise. I just don't think Mind Control was a problem, and I don't think Change of Heart would be a problem either. I feel like a year ago we would have said Monster Reborn is a massive problem and could never ever come back, and it came back, and all but little Timmy at locals played it. And I think Change of Heart would be the exact same. You might side a fun-of copy, maybe for going second, but would you rather have Change of Heart or would you rather have Nibiru? That's my
that's spot on. Yeah.
I just think it's outdated. Yeah, it's got a strong effect, but no one would realistically play it because there are just so many better cards to play.
Just gets negated against big break my board decks. It'd be good in stuff like Salamangrate, like how they used Mind Control a lot. If you get a meta dominated by a deck like that, I think it'd be very good. It'd be played in every deck, but
Yeah,
for
I think the reason that Mind Control was so prevalent in Salamangrate was the ability to steal your opponent's Mirage Stalio in the mirror. Though.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think like in a mirror match format where there's like a combo piece getting left on the field, like say Double Helix in Spiral Tier 0 format and stuff, then it's really good. But other than that, I think it's just like another copy of Mind Control.
I agree.
It's not permanent like Snatch Steal, so you can't just steal your opponent's like boss monster and keep hold of it. I think it can absolutely come back. But Konami going one way with Mind Control, going up the ban list and then taking it back down the ban list to 1 would suggest otherwise.
Yeah, I think they might have gone off. Obviously they have been known to be pretty flippy floppy on terms of taking control of other people's monsters. Obviously, they had that one absolute mental format with Snatch Steal. May that never happen ever again. Thanks. So yeah, I think I agree that it's not really in the current sort of state of Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't think it's any stronger than the others. Obviously in the past, like the fact that you could still use the effects and stuff and attack with it, the ones that you took control of, like that might have actually made a difference. But now I would suggest that most of the time you're going to end up linking up with it at some point anyway. And I guess you could use it to beat someone over the head with. But if Konami aren't sort of with them limiting Mind Control again, I think it's maybe one for the future. I think it's one of those ones that will keep every ban list discussion probably will involve Change of Heart for a while. Same as most ban discussions obviously involve Heartbeat Feather Duster. I know like this is one of those sort of cards in it where like obviously in Japan we had Raigeki banned in Heartbeat Feather Duster, and now they've brought Raigeki back in OCG. I think we kind of expected a similar thing to happen here. I think
there is absolutely zero reason why this card is still banned.
No, I agree. We have Lightning Storm at 3. It does the same thing. Yep.
And you've got Nibiru and like a variety of hand traps that keep combo decks in check.
Yeah.
Why isn't Harpy's Feather Duster available to keep back row decks in check?
Okay, so to play devil's advocate, what control decks do need to be kept in check? Because the last I checked, with the exception of obviously the Sky Strike and stuff,
spot the failure
spot the failure player. You're absolutely right. But Lightning Storm is a good card. However, it's not got the free, like, it does have a small little restriction.
Yes.
It's a small restriction.
Duster is just free. I mean, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I'm done with getting blown away by free battle removals.
Yeah. Well, in fairness though, they did limit Red Reboot, so
Exactly, and that was a dumb card. Red Reboot was one of the most busted cards they ever released. it's almost like shutting down mechanics of the game is unfair.
Almost.
Maybe.
But with lingering
Go ahead.
effects.
Well, yeah, Red Reboot. The issue with Red Reboot for me is that you can't recover from it because it lingers for the rest of the turn. Once it's done, it's done. If you've not got the answer there, and then it's
Yeah.
like, I know,
And it's a
there's
counter trap as well. So it's
or-
like, good luck negating it. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
you've pretty much
And
got
we-
to play counter trap tennis, otherwise you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Judgment's at 3 now, though. Pretty decent.
Yeah, but
Well, that's a good
that's an
point.
argument for the Duster to be there as well because you can judgment it.
Yeah, that's true. I think I think part of the reason why it may not come off the list actually does reside with Lightning Storm, in that they've printed Lightning Storm. It's a secret rare. You know, somewhat cynically, I would say, you know, maybe it's just to do with product things.
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
but maybe that's an argument for Feather Duster to come off the list at a later date when Lightning Storm is limited or something.
Maybe we could go
Lightning
into.
Storm be in the tins. I think it'll be in the tins like this time.
Yeah, of course it will. Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like at a later date when when they finish pushing Lightning Storm, limit it and then limit Harpy Feather Duster as well.
Yeah, maybe after the tins.
Something
But
that really
also,
does worry me about Harpy Feather Duster though. There's a card that searches it in the Harpy archetype.
well, I was about to say with Harpies, like if Konami ever announced like a Harpy structure deck or something, then obviously it'll be red alert for Feather Duster to come back.
Well, there is a card that searches it. I'm sure there is.
There is.
Yeah, there is.
There is. It mentions it by name. But obviously that was an OCG decision, clearly. All right, so let's go on to Vanity's Emptiness. Obviously, we are talking about like shutting down mechanics of the game are unfair. I think that's kind of true, but also floodgates are needed to stop blowouts from happening. And Vanity's does have a fairly like unique weakness compared to the other floodgate cards, in that it's kind of easy to remove it without special summoning. So, what do you boys think? Do you reckon it could come back?
No.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
No.
Okay.
No, this is broken.
Do you know?
If you see this and your opponent doesn't, you've won. Like, even if like you play 2 special like 3 monsters set emptiness, you kind of just win. They don't have the.
But they will. That's the point, though, isn't it? Like, if a card's sent from the deck or field to the graveyard, then Vanity is destroyed. Either field or either deck. So
No, it's not either.
oh, is it not? Is it only from your own?
If it was from either, then it would be.
Oh, of course, yeah, to your graveyard, yeah, of course. So you are kind of stopping yourself. Jeez, it's been a while since I actually played with this card. Clearly,
It's just ridiculous. This card, this floodgates are dumb and just shouldn't be a thing.
I still think it could come back. It's no worse than Summon Limit in my opinion, and it's easier to remove.
But do you think it will come back?
No, I don't think it will come back.
yeah,
Nah,
I agree. Or if it does, they'd have to start like maybe fundamentally changing how they look at. If they started like limiting various floodgates, like if they brought like rivalry to 1 and there can be only 1 to 1 and all that stuff, then maybe that would be a sign that they would start to bring stuff like Vanities back. Just to try and turn it into like some sort of wackadoo Highlander thing with floodgates. I hope they don't go with that approach, to be honest with you. But I think that's the only realistic way it would come off the list, is if they removed other floodgate options. Because you can imagine like a Vanity's Emptiness like backed up with like other other floodgates or Mystic Mine.
Oh, God. That's just the total of a discussion, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think you even. Hang on, we've not got Mystic Mine on this list.
Let's whip that bad boy on there.
You're gonna have to put Mystic Mine on this list.
Oh, okay. I really did not want to have to do this.
For me, in kind of the opposite way that I wanted Harpy Feather Duster to come back, I want Vanities to come back as a boost to control decks. Like,
Yeah.
Just don't, but not just control decks will play it. Every single deck in the side for when they're going first. Every deck will play it.
Yeah, that is true.
Combo deck, just do the combo and then Griffin set Vanity.
Yeah, that's just it can't come back.
All right, so let's say
it's really easy to out though, unless you're putting up sort of an Omni Negate with it. And
Which you will.
If you're putting all your effort into Curious in Vanities and then Griffin in it back, then you're probably not setting up an Omni Negate as well.
Forgive my cynicism, but just seeing Emancipator recover from Nibiru for 5 and just put up a massive board, like I don't.
Yeah, but we're banning Block Dragons, so it's fine.
Oh yeah, of
It's
course.
not fine. It's still going to be good.
In fairness, yeah,
It's still-
Vanity's Emptiness is like it's one of those cards that limits card design. We've not mentioned that yet, but I think that's quite a big incentive to put cards on or off the list. Is like future card design limitations. So I guess it's had its day in court, and maybe it's going to stay on the list for now, or should stay on the list. So we'll go on now off from the stuff that's banned to the stuff that's limited and should either be more limited or less limited. Starting with A Hero Lives.
I think.
Yeah, bring it back.
Yeah,
Why not?
I think in
Maybe
the,
at 2 first.
Heroes is a welcome little addition to the meta / rogue last format, I thought.
yeah,
I don't think it's particularly good. I think it does a massive combo that takes about 15 minutes to just put up a skill drain.
yeah.
And I think paying half your life points to put up a skill drain is fine.
We
Yeah.
say that, right? But didn't Heroes win like 6 UK regionals or something? It won so many regionals
I think
last
that might have been
format.
the pilot
yeah.
more than the deck. Like, may have been a pilot thing. Also, I think Heroes are kind of like they're a bit of a fan favorite, and at the minute, like people may be worried about like his old shenanigans, but Nibiru
I don't know.
upsets
That into Stratos is pretty good.
I think
Yes,
putting
it
it
is.
back to 2 is fine. Like, to see it's at 1, it's not doing anything at 1. Put it to 2, see what happens. If it's bad, put it back to 1 or 0.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
It
To be honest
it
with you,
still dies to Nibiru.
I think A Hero Lives is one of those cards as well, where if it's at 1, it's like a bit of a sack. Like you want to see it in your opening hand. It's inconsistent, and then if you do, then GG's to your opponent. Like bad luck. Whereas if it's at 3 or 2, at least you can start to think. Well, once you know what they're playing, of course, you start to think, right, this is something that could happen. And you'd start playing with the assumption that they do have it in their hand, which I think is one of the discussions that can be had about Max C being at 1 versus 3. But
Whoa, kind of worms.
yeah,
Kind of worms.
all right. So
As someone who used to play Destrudo and pay half my life points to summon an ancient fairy dragon, and then just for that ancient fairy dragon to get effect veiled, paying half your life points and then your combo getting interrupted hurts. And that's what's going to happen if you put Hero Lives high at 2 or 3. They're going to pay half the life points, then they're going to get Nibiru.
yeah, at which point it pretty much is GG. Like I know life points
Or
don't matter until
pay half the life points and get ashed.
yeah, like
You pay half the life points and get the Stratos veiled. Like there's so much more interaction now that I think Hero Lives would be fine at 3, but I think put it at 2.
But life points don't matter unless you've got none of them.
I know, but they do if you're paying half of them for no reason, which is what would happen.
Yeah, it does make you very fragile.
They'll just pop off with the Vision Hero stuff. Like it's just a really good hand trap bait.
That's true, actually.
But it's like I say, it's not doing anything now, is it? The deck, so give it a boost.
There's better combo decks and it dies to.
And it is good. It is good hand trap bait. Like I think heroes do rely sometimes on their normal summon. So a Hero Lives would be a really, really good way of baiting out any of those interactions and allowing them to do like the normal
I
combo.
disagree about the normal summon thing.
Do you?
Yeah, I always get baited. Like I don't think I've ever played a hero player who hasn't opened like
Extenders,
Faris and Stratos.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever played a hero player who's not opened that. So
yeah, true. Yeah. Well, it's more bait, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's have a look at mind control.
We kind of discussed this with change of heart. Like,
It
should come up back to 3, I think.
0 or 3.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's that thing about if it's at 1, it becomes Saki. If it's at 3, you should expect it. And you can play around
No one's
with it.
playing it. It's
no one's playing it at 1.
cards.
Yeah. So I think they should either ban it or bring it up. I know it was played at 2 though, so maybe 2 was the right place for it. I don't know.
I don't agree with many things being at 2. So
right.
3.
Well, let's not.
pretty much the only card that's ever been at 2 that's been good is Mali.
Yeah. Malicious.
Very limited. There should be renamed like the Mali list. Like it's the only card that should be there.
Yeah. All right, so now we'll do the inverse of Harpy's Feather Duster with Raigeki. I know there's a decent argument that people have to that's coming back to 3.
It's Dark Holes at 3. No one's playing it.
Well, actually, you see, John Cash top 8 Stockton Regional, siding 3 dark holes.
You're right. You know
what I mean?
what? You know what?
Because he couldn't afford
Is three Kaiju slumbers at home.
and he couldn't afford blinding storms.
You know what? You're damn right. You're damn right. John Cash representing the most jank side decks you'll ever see. So I think Raigeki probably could just straight up come back to 3.
Yeah, no one to play it.
Like, oh, I'm going to do a board wipe. Oh, I'll negate it. I'll board wipe you again. It's kind of like, well, you've still gone 1-1.
Dark Hole's stronger because it's a combo piece, like for decks that like their stuff being destroyed anyway.
Yeah, I think
Baby Dark Hole, 2-card combo broken.
I think
exactly, Baby Dark Hole.
As well, because of the strength of monsters, like if your opponent's got a board worth wiping, they've probably got something to negate the Raigeki.
Oh, absolutely. It's just at that point it just becomes a mind control or a change of heart or a dark hole or a mystic knight. It becomes any other card that just takes a negate.
Yeah. So I think while it could come back, it probably won't. I think maybe Konami just sort of would leave it there.
No, I don't think they'll bring it back. But
I think Harpy's Feather Duster and Raigeki in a weird way are kind of like iconic when it comes to like ban list discussions. It's kind of got like a certain sort of mysticism about them, like as to why they've got them at 1. And obviously when OCG took a different route.
Well, were they not both on the first ever ban list?
I believe the first ever list pretty much just had Yatagarasu on it, I think. I don't know.
Check.
I'm not sure. But all right, so let's have a look at Altergeist Multifaker.
Yeah, I think you just why not? Well, it wouldn't do anything again. Why not?
Why not?
Give Control a boost. I mean, what would it do realistically?
Well, it'd make them way, way, way more consistent. Do you not think? Do you not think because rather than having to like get hold of the Multifaker, they just set a load, flip a card up, and odds are they're able to just access the Multifaker straight away.
I hate this deck, and I think it should still. I don't care.
They can absolutely have it back because they can have it to 2 or 3. Because technically now you can play I can't remember exactly how many, but you can play Sangan as a copy of Multifaker. You've got 3 Personal Spoofing as a copy of Multifaker. You've got 3 Meloseek as a copy of Multifaker. There's so many ways to Multifaker that putting it at 2 or 3 is not going to harm their chances of. Sorry, it's not going to improve their chances of opening Multifaker by much at all. But it will improve the grind game a little bit, and that's what the deck's there for.
I think Multifaker at 1 kind of gives the deck a vulnerability in a similar way that like Gazelle at 1 does give it to Salamangreat. Like if you banish Multifaker, like Altergeist are in for a really bad time. Sort of similar thing with Gazelle. So it kind of maybe is more about making the deck more vulnerable rather than less consistent. Though obviously it does do that as well.
It's definitely about making it less consistent. I mean, Geist aren't going to be playing Desires. So, I mean...
I mean banishing it as in, like, if your opponent banishes it, like, if Multifaker gets bombed, then that's your a significant source of, like, pluses that they would normally use and abuse. Gone. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of ambivalent to Multifaker. I don't particularly enjoy Altergeist, but I think it could certainly come back. I don't think it will, though.
Yeah, I don't think I can't see it doing.
And if it does, it'll be following that logic that we were talking about previously meta decks getting a kick just to try and drag people back into the game.
Yeah,
that's a good segue into True Draco.
Yep.
And just before we go on to True Draco, I've just checked, and Raigeki and Harpy's Feather Duster were both limited on the first ever ban list.
Oh, really? Nice. Jeez, some Yu-Gi-Oh prehistory going on there. All right, so True Draco. We are not discussing Masterpiece because I feel that card is a little bit too disgusting. But I think with the diagram at 1 and without Masterpiece, these two maybe.
Yeah, I think with diagram, with diagram at 1. I mean, even with diagram at 3, return is still the worst True Draco trap. Like, it wouldn't. Yeah, Apocalypse is a lot better.
It's very rare that you search in return turn 1 in it in Draco. It's more of a mid-game grindy card that you might need after you've starting to run low on your other pieces. But turn 1, you're looking to draw as many cards as possible with your heritages and disciples and stuff.
Well,
So
they can't even do that anymore. True Draco is dead. True Draco is so dead. Like,
What do you think we should throw him a bone then with Dynamite and Return?
I mean, you could do, and I probably would, because, as I say, like, people talking about Return coming back even when Diagram and Demise were both at 3. Yeah, chuck him a bone. I mean, no one.
Aiden would be happy.
Even True Draco loyalists aren't playing True Draco anymore.
Didn't they? True. Oh no, was it? No, it was pure True Draco, wasn't it, that got second at UK at the YCS London?
What?
Did they?
Yeah, like in November last year, and they had the current hits. They had Diagram at 1, I think. Maybe they didn't. Maybe I'm talking rubbish.
What? I think you're talking rubbish.
Well, they might have the Diagram at 1, but I think it's Demise, isn't it? That's the absolute kick in the balls.
Oh no, I think he had 1 Demise but 3 Diagram. I'll be wrong.
I don't know.
I'm going to have a look.
Wasn't it?
I think you're best mate, because we've got some corrections going on here now.
It was the foolish burial in the impermanence column, was it not? Was that the final or was that the semi-final?
I don't know.
I think that's kind of one of those memories that I would scour from my brain. Like, one of those, like, put your head in your hands, oh my god, sort of moments.
No, but they missed it, and then they
Yeah, and then it had to be be rewound, which is then like can you imagine like your stomach just dropping, you're like, oh my god, I cannot believe I've just done that.
I won't be able to sleep at night on a stage like that.
Mate, Yu-Gi-Oh's full of those moments, man. Every time I I'll activate a card or summon a monster, and they'll be like, you shouldn't have done that.
You should not have done that.
Oh man, the torture we put ourselves through. All right, so because we don't have anything constructive to say about Draco, let's talk about something that's not very constructive, I guess. And that's Mystic
Mine. We could have been a lot worse about True Draco.
Let's talk quickly about something else unconstructive in Mystic Mine. And we are going to get to Tour Guide in a second, but
get rid of it.
Just
get
short.
Okay.
I'll play the card until it gets banned to get rid of it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we are out there for Mystic Mine. Go away. Okay, so Tour Guide from the Underworld. She's back at 2 as of, was it the last list, I think?
I think so, yeah. Maybe the one before that. I don't know. BA, do you know what BA? Kian swears by it, and you see a lot of people doing all right with it, I guess. I think Tour Guide,
there or thereabouts, isn't it?
It is. It's that thereabouts deck, and I think Tour Guide at 3. Actually, it's a really strong card. I don't think it'd do anything right now, but it's a really strong card, and it could be a problem in the future.
It is a straight plus, which is always a really, really strong thing, but it does eat the normal. So
yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with having strong normal summons in the game.
No, especially because there are so many ways of affecting it. You know, like you normal summon Tour Guide. You got Impermanence, you got Effect Veiler, and you've got Ash. All would stop her, and Ogre would probably upset maybe a little bit. I don't know. Actually, Ogre might not be that bad. But
I don't like any card that says special from deck, but Deep Sea Diva does it, and they brought that to 3, so why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, why not? You know what? Yeah, let's throw Kian a bone. Well done, Kian. All right. Okay, so let's have a look at the extra deck cards. So we've obviously discussed these bad boys quite a lot. We're now going to move on to a general principle that we've talked about quite a lot within the team. I think Danny had to leave us from this chat, so he's going to miss it. But let's talk about lingering conditions as left by cards such as Abyss Dweller, True King of All Calamities, or VFD, and then other cards such as Artifact Lancia, Droll and Lockbird. And I guess we could talk about Maxi, or are we talking about Maxi here, or are we going to leave that?
Yeah, you can chuck Maxi.
Right, let's get stuck into Maxi.
I think that lingering effects are the most ridiculous types of effects in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think VFD has brought that to the forefront. I think cards like Dweller and Scythe and Draw are all ridiculous blowout auto lose cards that shouldn't exist.
Well,
I'm with Cam on this one.
yeah, I feel slightly ganged up on at this point.
You needed Danny here, that's why.
I know. He's forsaken me. Oh, what a guy!
So explain to us, Coons, why you don't think that
Harris, you're echoing,
no
by the way, mate.
condition floodgate.
Say that again.
You're echoing, by the way.
No, that's weird. I've not changed anything.
Yeah, I think it's only when Cam starts to get a little bit impassioned, like he just did then.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all good, maybe. I like that. I like it. Okay, so for me, I think so conditions that linger. I think there are several ways of sort of like balancing the game around that. I think if they could somehow word a card that would allow you to remove that condition placed upon yourself, which may obviously require a... Oh, okay, Harris, you're echoing way more now. That may require like a rule change or something, which obviously would be too much. But also, like, I don't think all of them are equally bad. For example, I think Dweller is one of those cards where like you've got these ridiculously overpowered effects, and they're needed in order to keep decks that would otherwise run away from you in check. That's why I think cards like Max C, for example, in OCG is still at 3. That obviously massively changes how the game works. It changes how people think about building decks over there. I kind of like that it's at 0 here because it puts quite a big difference between, you can't just look at OCG lists and be like, oh, hey, this is how they're running it in Japan. We'll just do a carbon copy because Max C is a real big game changer. But I think like stuff like Lancia, Droll and Lockbird, they are no stronger. Well, they are strong side deck options in the same way that Evenly Matched or Red Reboot or Lightning Storm are. They are situational to the matchup. And I think if your deck loses to those cards, well, for starters, unless it's a tier 0 format, those cards may not necessarily be main decked. And then if it's not being main decked, you are going to go into game 2 knowing that you'll be facing this card, and you are able to construct your side deck around that. So it kind of like it becomes a sort of like a power dynamic where your side deck is limited because you've got to play around other people's responses to your deck. I think Orcust would have been so much worse. Would have performed so much better if Artifact Lancia didn't exist. I think in many ways it kept the deck like that, which could have been truly absurd, kind of in check. So I don't think they should all necessarily be banned.
Right. So I understand what you're saying. So I think this is a debate more about like it kind of talks about like power levels of decks nowadays. So for me personally, I think the skill in Yu-Gi-Oh is like individual negations back and forth instead of blanket stuff. Like if you can pinpoint a choke point of a combo and stop it, then I think you should be rewarded for that, as opposed to just going VFD detach, you can't play. I understand what you're saying, and you are probably right. As much as I think that these cards are dumb and shouldn't exist, you're right, because of the power levels of decks nowadays. There is probably no other way to stop it. And like Nibiru is an example of that. Like Vale just wasn't cutting it anymore. You need to just go scoop the board up, and things still can play through that. So I think you're right in that they probably would never get banned. I just think they are unfair, and it makes. I just think auto losses just shouldn't be a thing.
There's two categories here, really. There's the on-field lingering effects like Dweller and VFD, and then there's the hand trap lingering effects. So I think for me, there's a lot less counterplay to the hand trap ones like Droll and Lancia, because if, say, you're an Orcust player, I know it's not particularly meta relevant, but say you're an Orcust player and you normal summon Heart Power, or like, I know it's not a good normal summon really, but you normal summon just knows immediately you're playing Orcust, and you just go Lancia, and you can't do anything about that.
Yeah. I think maybe
that's just basically said, right, pass your turn.
Well, I think, yeah, but if you know that your opponent's going to be running Lancia, you would obviously be running counters to it, such as Call by the Grave, that kind of thing. But also, I think I do see, like, obviously, it's not like I don't see the argument for it. I just think that if they are going to do something like such as banning stuff like Scythe or Lancia, they should replace it with other cards or errata them to say that it's while they are still in the place that they were put. So, for example, Lancia could be tribute this card. Now the player can banish monsters while this card is in the graveyard, and then that way you could somehow get it out of the grave. Obviously, it'd be pretty hard to do, but it would be some sort of disruption. Or maybe a better example would be Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller said, while this card is face up on the field, your opponent can't activate card effects in the grave.
There's two categories there. Dweller and VFD for me would be completely fine if they said while it's on the field.
Yeah.
I think hand-trap ones like Tribute this or Send It to the Grave like Droll, those are much more problematic to implement that.
If for example, you could be drolled and then you were able to banish droll from the graveyard, and then that would mean that Droll's effect is no longer applied.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, but I
think Lancia would be a harder sell with that.
Beyond the realms of ever going to happen. That also, I think we could do an entire video on this debate.
Yeah, we could. But okay, so let's discount then, and not
probably see VFD getting banned. Sorry, True King of All Calamities. But I don't think I could see Dweller getting banned. If Dweller was going to get banned, I think it would have got banned during the Salamangreat era. Also, Dweller is getting OTS ulti treatment, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I'd just also kind of want to say, personally, I don't want to see cards like Dweller banned. I agree that shutting out parts of like whole mechanics, there's a good argument for it being unfair. I also think that sometimes, like if all you can do is make a Dweller and pass because you battered by an opponent's like disruptions and stuff, if Dweller passes enough to let you survive, then maybe that's okay. I think the biggest problem comes obviously with combo decks that create an unbreakable board and Dweller on top of it. But I think there are cards that exist, such as like Nibiru or whatever, or even Kaijus, which allow you to sort of play through that and leave you only having to face down the Dweller. Also, I think if you're playing a deck that relies on the grave that much, you kind of got to accept that, haven't you? Yeah, but if you're playing a deck that relies on the grave that much, you kind of got to accept that this is a weakness of the deck, and you've got to try and like.
Right, let's move on.
All right, okay. All right, okay.
I think we could and should do an entire separate video on lingering effects.
Okay. We'll include Maxi in that as well. I kind of think that Maxi should stay banned because of the dynamic here, but all right. So let's look at Dragon Colossus. So an example of a card who has a floodgate effect while he's face up on the field, yet he is banned. Whereas True King is not. So you know what? This is probably not the best order for my case. So right, Thunder Dragon Colossus. Personally, I think that it could absolutely come off the list. Especially with Sekka's Light and stuff like that being at 1. What do you boys think?
My instinct is to say absolutely because I think it's a cool card.
Big Dragon goes raw.
Exactly, but at the same time, it would probably. I don't know.
It'd make us hypocrites if we were to now say, "Oh yeah, bring Colossus back. Yeah, bring it back." While though it does, it's not a lingering effect.
There's a lot to play to it.
Yeah, you are right. I can't sit here and bash floodgates for an hour and then say, "Oh, yeah, bring Colossus back." Though it's a cool card, and realistically, it's a lot more. You can deal with it so much easier than all of the others. There are outs to it.
When they banned Masterpiece, was that the same list when they gave them Dynamite back to 1?
Yeah,
yes, it was.
So, like, what about a little trade-off for Thunder Dragons like that, where you give them 1 Colossus back, but you put Dark to 1 or something? Like, I know Dragons isn't doing anything, but just keep it in check. Give them a Colossus back, put Dark to 1, and then everyone can maybe.
I just feel Thunder Dragon was such a likable combo deck. I don't know.
Likeable. I don't know, man. And then again, like you two did play the deck. I've never played it. You two both played it. Cam, obviously, you had some somewhat decent success at a regional level with it. So I guess
that was Dino Thunder.
that was Dino Thunder, yeah. But Colossus may have pulled his weight as well a little bit.
Oh yeah, of course.
So I guess kind of defer to you boys on that. Maybe hitting Dragon Dark, bringing Colossus back might be a good compromise. I don't think it'll happen though, personally.
No, not do I. But
No,
I don't think it would keep pace with the current meta if there was one Colossus. Because that's the thing about the grind game. The grind game of Thunder Dragons was really strong as well. When it was more of a control variant, like where you were putting up 2 to 3 Colossus. And,
2 Colossus and a Titan.
Yeah. Because they protect themselves and that sort of thing. Whereas
and Thunder Dragon Fusion recycles all the cards.
Yeah, and I think the combos, all the combo variants typically went through more than one as well because they were using one as a material for rank 8 XZs and then leaving one on the field.
I think when we talk about Thunder Dragon, you've always got to remember it's Thunder Dragon as a deck. That wasn't why Colossus got banned. It got banned because it was an accessory to a massive combo deck.
Yeah, and everyone when it got banned, everyone expected it to go to 1 and that'd be fine. And then it got banned.
Yeah, but that's a good point. That's a good point. It could come back, but it probably won't. Maybe that's a shame. All right, so now, again, it feels pretty blasphemous talking about this without Danny here, but he had to go, so Heavy Metal Foes, Electromite.
Well, without Danny, I think it'll be a quick discussion.
Yeah, I believe this card should remain banned.
Yeah. I concur.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All in favour say aye. Aye. Cool.
Aye.
Motion passed. Sorry, Electromite. Sorry, Danny. Yeah, I think I do think that there may be an interesting discussion about Double Iris and Astrograph and Skullcrabat as long as this card is gone.
Yeah,
I think that kind of in itself is kind of proof of the whole. If it like has too much impact on card design, then it should be banned. And the fact that Electromite is responsible for the deaths of a great many Pendulum cards, kind of is testament to that. So yeah, Electromite, no chance, mate. Sorry.
In much the same way that Needle Fiber and Union Carrier
will eventually. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. I also kind of think it's interesting that, like, what's it called, the Bujin link.
not Yamato, Bujin.
Yeah. Hashima.
That's the one.
For example, that does for Xyz what Halqifibrax is meant to do for Synchro, except it's got the big fat restriction on it of cannot be used as a link material. I think they learned their lesson really from Halqifibrax.
Well, I could be wrong, but I think that the Bujin came out in Link Frame Pack 2 or 3.
Yeah, Halqifibrax was 1 or 2.
Link Frame Pack 1.
Yeah. I think Halqifibrax is an outlier. They're probably a mistake that won't be repeated. Yep, I agree. Sometimes you could argue that they went a little bit too far, like with some of the links.
Oh, definitely.
But I would rather that than have the game just collapse every set or two. So speaking of going too far, let's have a look at Tellarknight Ptolemaeus. I know, Harris, you believe it could come off the list.
I know this card. I think this could come off the list.
This is obviously the whole reason for that is because you're a Cyber Dragon player, and I won't hear anything else.
No, because Cyber Dragons wouldn't play it.
No, you're right. But I know you love. You're also an ABC player, so you don't get away that easily. I think that the reason it can't is just because it can access any rank 5, and again that makes it restrictive on card design because it bypasses a mechanic.
Yeah, but the chance of a new rank 5 coming out that is so busted that it's worth comboing into is fairly slim.
Well, it'd be a lot slimmer if it came off the list. That's what I mean. Like they could make a strong rank 5 as long as Ptolemaeus is on the list, such as other.
You have to get 3 materials on it, and really the only thing that's worth summoning is Cyber Dragon Nova, and therefore it going into Infinity. And 1 Infinity for 3 level 4s as a trade in this current state of affairs with with Jet Synchron being a 1 card, Borrowload Savage and Herald or VFD or whatever else you want it to be, 3 level 4 being put into a Ptolemaeus and then going into an Infinity sounds fine to me.
Maybe I'm just sort of put off from the whole being able to rank up for free thing after Phantom Knight's launch. Maybe that's what's just making me kind of be hesitant, but do you make a good point there. I'm still not wholly convinced, but I can see it.
I don't think it will come off, just to be clear. I don't think it will come off. But I think I like it too.
Cam, do you have any view on this at all, or are you just waiting for us to finish talking about it?
Honestly, mate, it's neither here nor there. I don't think it probably will. Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on to the nation's favourite.
This deck.
You what? Zodiac Dryden? Yeah,
to Zoo. Small boost to Zoo.
Yes, it is a boost to Zoo. Yeah, that's true.
Obviously, it's very difficult for them to spam out level 4s with 1 barrage and 1 wrap here, but
a little bit hard. But then again, yeah, I suppose it wouldn't boost them. So that's actually kind of a good argument for your case. Obviously, Rapier can never come back to anything other than 1. So Zodiac Dryden, I know the deck has seen a bit of a resurgence, but I don't think Dryden is necessarily the primary driver for that. Like Megaclops is the biggest sort of driver on that, isn't it, really?
Dryden is absolutely the biggest driver for that.
You reckon it is?
No one was playing it.
Yeah, true, actually.
Still a slim amount of people that are playing it, but no one was playing it before Dryden came back.
Yeah, and Barrage was at 3, so you could do it even more consistent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Dryden would be a problem if they brought it back to 2. Just it still do.
Before, but Broad Bullet. The problem with Zoo was Broad Bull, and if they brought back Broad Bull, it would be catastrophic for Zoo and for many other decks.
Yeah,
but with 1 or more Dryadents, I don't see it being a problem.
All right, so I guess we'll move on to a partner in crime for Zodiac. Actually, Daigusto Emerald.
Yeah, back in the day, it was.
Yeah. I think they both got hit on the same list, didn't they? Maybe.
Yes, I think so. But Emerald was. So Emerald is another one. Like it wouldn't really do anything in Zoo because of their lack of ability to spam rank 4s with the 1 barrage and 1 wrap there.
Yeah.
So, like and I don't think any deck really would play more than 1 now. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I agree for that. I agree about that. I think Emerald's actually a fairly. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think it can potentially be quite a healthy card because it can help decks that have no grind game sort of claw some back. And when you've got cards like Pot of Avarice back at 3, like shuffling 3 monsters in the graveyard and drawing 1, it's not like a particularly game-changing effect.
It'd be a fantastic buff to ABC. Shuffle back their busters.
Yeah, but you only need 1.
Unless you are in a ridiculously long grind game, of course.
Yeah. But, I think the reason for it being at 1 is because if you've got 2, you can shuffle the second one back in and then make another and shuffle the first one back in. So you can essentially just keep shuffling them back and drawing. That being said, you do have to keep spamming out more and more level 4s.
Yeah. I guess you're just sort of kind of getting a bit desperate in trying to recycle your Dragon Buster, really, when you're sort of doing that.
No, I'm not talking about Dragon Buster. I'm talking about in general.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
I'm saying
I think it's fine at
1 and then making the other one and shuffling back the other one.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not like it's a link monster. If it was a link monster and you could use it as material for another Emerald, then that would be busted. But you can't use Emerald as a material for another Emerald.
Yeah, I agree. So I think it at 1's probably about right.
There might well be something we're completely missing that would break it, but I don't think so.
It's a rock monster. I don't know. I don't know if that would make
it.
But, okay. So Cam, totally awesome. Do you have any view on this guy? Do you think he should be banned or not?
I absolutely do have a view on this card, and I think it was,
I think Coombs knew you had a view on this card when he asked.
I think I don't think it should have gone to 1. I understand why it did. Because they didn't want Master Rule 3 to be they didn't want Master Rule 5 to be Master Rule 3 2 and just carry on from where we left off. But I don't think that was ever the case anyway. I think it's still a decent deck with Toad at 1, but Toad at 2, no one would play it. There's still a myriad of better control decks. Like Guru is still probably better. Guy is still probably better with Toad at 2. Don't get me wrong, it's snowballing effect. Its ability to snowball once it does get ahead and recur itself would be still strong. It would be good. It'd be good. It'd just be good. That's it. That's really it. Honestly, it'd just be a good deck. I don't think there's any reason to keep it at 1. In all honesty,
Right in saying that if it's at 1, it can't recycle itself.
No, it can't.
No, it can recycle itself. Yeah,
it can add itself back. It's just sometimes you don't want to be doing that. Like if you're tributing Toad, sometimes you want to be added by your SWAT frog so you can carry on again next turn. So in the first one, so it's just an inconvenience, really. That's all it is. It's an inconvenience. I don't think it stops anyone who was going to play Paleo from playing Paleo anyway.
So do you think then it might have been more a reflection on the Bahamut Shark totally thing? It stops you from
absolutely.
That. Yeah,
absolutely. I think they were anticipating maybe.
That must have been the thinking behind it, but like. If you're going to do that combo, you're going to summon a Bahamut Shark, you're going to summon a Toad, then you're going to link off your Bahamut Shark and do some other part of the combo, and then you're never going to use Bahamut Shark to summon another Toad, so why would you need more than 1?
Well, that's a fantastic question, that, Harris.
Hey, we're just clutching at straws here, mate. Leave us alone. Come on.
No, it is for that reason. I think it should probably just come back.
Yeah, maybe they were just
to make me happy.
Maybe they were just worried it'll be like a repeat of that TCG tournament that they had at UK Nats. Like totally
traditional tournament.
yeah, traditional. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, very easy to out that, isn't it? Just sphere mode.
One little fully memed up sphere mode. Yeah. Oh, good lord. Right,
onto a card that's in a very similar position.
Yeah. So ABC Dragon Buster. Harris, do you have any views on Dragon Buster? Do you think it should be banned or not?
Yeah, just ban it.
Yeah, just ban it. Let's get rid of it.
If you ban it would stop me playing the deck. So
yeah, well, you know what? It would be doing you a bit of a favour.
No, but in all seriousness, I think one of two things must have happened at Konami headquarters. Either someone really doesn't like ABC Dragon Buster, or someone likes it so much that they won't shut up about it, and they convinced everyone else that it was going to be the best deck once Driver and Carrier and Unauthorized Reactivation were out. And because they convinced them it was going to be the best deck, they thought, well, we better keep it in check by giving them 1 Buster.
Maybe there was some sort of gas leak. That could have been it. Yeah. It's probably the same guy who banned A, mate, or limited A, rather.
Well, no, because that's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah, no, I know.
But I honestly think someone just really overestimated how good it was going to be with the new support.
Yeah, I think you've actually kind of preempted my question, which is why do you think it was banned in the first place? Obviously, the reason is because of your new Driver and Carrier and all that janky stuff.
It can only be because of that, surely. But
yeah. I mean, a lot of people do like to hate ABC Dragon Buster. Like, you know, I refer to it as the sissiest card in the game. It's just an absolute massive pansy.
Yeah, equally, a lot of people like it, and not necessarily like people who play the deck. Like, I think a lot of people put it up there as one of the best boss monsters in the game. With
it is
Hierarchy and Masterpiece.
It's irritating.
Yeah, but
well, yeah, and also,
do you think Toad or ABC Dragon Buster is more likely to come back? Which one do you think is more likely?
More likely, I actually think Buster.
Yeah, I think it's Buster.
I think they'll realise that the that it's not that good with 1 or 2 or 3.
I agree.
Which I think deserves to be at 2 or 3. I think both of them.
Both. Yeah, I agree.
But I agree. I agree. But Toad being an Omni Negate and all obviously does have.
Well,
yeah.
It's we understand more why they hit Toad. Well, in fact, no, we understand why they hit both, but I think there's more evidence for disproving that they didn't need to hit Toad versus they didn't need to hit ABC.
Yeah. Totally agree.
ABC has done literally nothing. And I guess
Neither is Paleo.
I guess Toad or Paleo, or I've not even seen a deck summon Bahamut Shark and then go get a Toad.
So you just have leave you instead.
I think
That's why I'm doing that one. You can just take all your cards away
sometimes
instead.
just like someone at the company like just gets a massive hard on for hurting like a deck or something. Like especially with Konami with ABC Dragon Buster. Like I know I play Destiny, and the the developers there, they just randomly keep nerfing this same weapon archetype, and no one can figure out why. And it's probably because someone at the company hates it. And I think it could just be a case of that. It's like it's pretty much a meme at this point, I think. So, and also, I think a card being unpopular doesn't like that shouldn't mean it should be necessarily banned. And I would also agree with you that I don't think it actually is unpopular either. It's just one of those things that kind of baffles me as to why we're even having this conversation.
I think it's polarized. I think there's 50% of people would go, "Oh, it just needs to get lost. Like I'm bored of ABC now. Like why is it still a deck?" And then there's 50% of people who go, well, "That's cool that it's still a deck. Like that people are still making it work."
But first off, like people being bored of it being a deck, like it's not even that good, as you said. So, and also Burning Abyss is still a deck. Like how is ABC Dragon Buster at 1 and Dante at 3? Like it's just one of those things. Anyway, so let's move on to Imperial Order. Obviously, we all pretty much hate this card. It's our least favorite card in the game. And
Card's cracked.
I think it should be banned, and it's terrible.
Are we not going to acknowledge that we only put it on here for a meme?
Well, you know.
In all seriousness, card is pretty good.
Yeah.
Probably.
Do you remember that time when that card single-handedly won Kama Regional? I remember that.
2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row.
No, yeah. The card absolutely should be at 0 because it's just daft, isn't it? Like,
it is, yeah.
And the reason that it's so daft is because it might as well be lingering because all the outs to it
are spells
that are negated by it.
Yeah.
So unless you've got a quick play spell there and then, game over.
Yeah.
And that's not lingering for a turn. That's lingering for, what is it, like?
The whole duel.
9 turns.
Yeah. I suppose one thing to be argued with it is that a lot of the better decks, like now, I think the most powerful card type in the game is spell, isn't it? Like, and a lot of decks are backed up with spells. So if you flip Imperial Order, you can be putting yourself under the cosh just as much as your opponent. Sometimes.
Well, I wouldn't agree that spells are the most powerful type in the game. I'd say monsters are.
Maybe.
That's another day.
That's another discussion for another day. But yeah, I think with Imperial Order being at 1, like obviously you want to open it, and if you don't open it, like flipping it mid-game could be potentially quite risky because you may or may not. It could be that you see it and you're actually in a losing position. At which point you don't really want to flip order. You might be forced to survive, but you don't want to because it might screw you over. So it's kind of an interesting card in that way. But yeah, it's mega busted. And obviously us at Team Imperial Order hate the card with all of our heart.
A love-hate relationship with it.
Love-hate relationship, yeah. Okay. So, I guess that kind of concludes our discussion on the list. As to whether or not we'll have one or when we'll have one, I don't know. Could be that this is totally irrelevant.
I was thinking how good it would be if this discussion was taking place, and then halfway through the list dropped.
Hey, to be honest with you, I'm not going to lie. I have been refreshing the thing. I have been refreshing the list.
I've met.
Just periodically. Let me have a look. Quick refresh. Nope. So I guess
well, it's
we'll
been
have
a waste of time then, hasn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for having this discussion with me. Pretty interesting stuff. Hopefully, viewers would find it interesting as well. And hopefully, we can maybe get Danny back on to sort of defend his electromite at some point, because he'll be most upset that he missed out on that.
I won't bother.
He's a big boy. He'll be fine.
Well, it's time to put on his big boy pants and deal with it.
Guy doesn't even own any Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Why is he even here?
Well, he does now. I don't think he owns an electromite, though.
Right, fair enough.
The irony. Maybe it should come back just to wind him up that he doesn't own one.